I'm so lost. My husband of 32 years has gotten out of control. His anger, he's like Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde. He makes you feel crazy. I need to break the trauma bond. Susan, the biggest thing that I can help with that, if you want to work with raw motivations, would be to start off with the Clarity Challenge. That's at claritychallenge.net. The biggest thing there is we focus on breaking out the trauma bond. That's the biggest things. Breaking out the fog, 100%. Narcissists put you in the fog. The fear, the obligation, the guilt that leaves you confused. And until we're able to pierce the fog with the truth of the facts of the situation, people typically won't get free. How would you recommend navigating mutual friends with a narcissist after a breakup? So what I would do is you're not going to have mutual friends with them. You're going to have either friends that understand the situation and, for lack of better words, take your side, or you're going to have friends that are willing to pass off on the abuse and just continue doing the things that they want to do. And those aren't really going to be your friends. So that's what I would say with that. For me, I've been working on myself for 4 months that I forgot to grieve the relationship. Now the hurt is resurfacing. 100%. Like, that's one of the biggest pieces we try to help coach people work through, the emotional piece, because if we don't go through the emotional grieving process and how to deal with those emotions when they pop up, they'll pop up later and you'll feel like, I'm not healed. I'm not working through stuff, when you have, but you've had to compartmentalize some of it just to be able to get through or survive. How to know if my narcissistic husband is repentant after cheating? What do you see as far as honesty, vulnerability, and consistent change? And how does that transparency showing up on a day-to-day basis? My children are finding it so difficult since I left him, how quickly he has moved on, a whole new life, a new family. How do I explain this to our children? Depending how old they are, you just need to break it to them at the best way that you can, explaining that he disconnects and doesn't care about anyone, including them. And what that looks like is he's looking to other people just to be able to fill a void. You got to be careful with the kids of like how you say it, but ultimately they need to be able to hear the truth. If they don't hear the truth, they'll eventually get into another toxic relationship and look back on you and be like, well, you didn't tell me there was a bad thing. And they'll interpret their way. A genuine question. Why should I give you any credence or trust as a self-proclaimed narcissist? Genuine question, not a or accusatory. I don't even know how to say that. Aggrandizing, probably like botching that, or accusatory. So James, no, I appreciate it. Like, that's probably like one of the most like respectful questions in that area versus people just attacking. You don't have to believe anything I say. I'm on here to be able to help awareness, growth, healing, change, and development. That's like my tagline of like why I'm here. Also, like the piece of like, why should you give me any trust? Because I'm putting it all out there. And at the end of the day, you have to be able to evaluate what I say, if it matches up to your experiences, if it matches up to the reality of the situation. I'm going to have people that are going to come after me being like, well, you're a narcissist, so why should we believe anything you have to say? Because I've lived it and I've done it. And I'm also at the place that I'm working through it to the place where I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm showing up differently in my life and in my relationship. I'm showing up differently in how I treat my wife, how I treat my kids, how I actually go through this whole process, and how we actually break people free. And so for me, it's not this fact of like, oh, I need you to believe me. I don't care if you do or not. Because at the end of the day, I know who I'm serving and I know the people that I'm helping and I know the people that are actually breaking free. It's amazing. And it's awesome to be able to see. Well, it frustrated me. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not like just trying to be like straight up with you. What frustrated me, we were friends for 5 years, and when things got vulnerable, you pushed me away like there was no tomorrow. Yeah, because you got too close. Narcissist doesn't want to be close to you. They want to have a shallow relationship and not be close. You got too close. It's like, let me get out of here. Narcissists want attention. Yeah, a lot of narcissists want attention. They want attention for their image. What do you think about a man not wanting to cut off his ex, even though he is in a very serious relationship where he got married? What I would say is he's not in a serious relationship if he's not willing to actually cut off exes. Hopefully that makes sense. Like he's not actually committed to a relationship if he's not willing to part ways with previous lovers. To add, I spent 47 years surrounded by them for 47 years. At least you're a wolf in wolf's clothing. Yeah, I mean, that's the piece too, is I'm just like, hey, here's my shit. Like I did a post on Instagram, and my wife did a post recently on Instagram that she collabed in, and part of it is just telling her story. Part of it is just saying like, hey, this is what I've done. And it's amazing. There's like people that are like, oh my gosh, like, thanks so much for being vulnerable. And then there's people being like, hey, you're a piece of shit and you shouldn't even exist on this earth. And I'm like, I get it. You got that opinion. Totally get that. But I'm also owning everything that I've done. That's a different piece that people don't normally come from. What's the most common trait of a narcissist? Lying. Narcissists are liars, period. All of them are. Because they're either lying to you, they're lying to others, they're lying to coworkers, they're lying to God, they're lying to themselves, ultimately, to be able to pull off all the stuff that they do. Okay. Is there an ex you miss and tried to help and support you? And tried to help and support you? I missed the syntax on that. No, I would say there's not like an ex that I missed. I would say there's an ex that it took a long time to be able to get over. But that's because the demise of that relationship didn't have the discard phase. It like dissipated before that. So in the mind, that was one of like the hardest things coming out of it and actually working through it and working on my marriage. The mindset wise was so hard to be able to work through because like I wanted to idealize that old relationship, even though I knew it wasn't right, even though I knew it wouldn't work. I still wanted to put that in my mind saying, oh, this could have been this way, or this should have been this way, or we just had this argument over here. Why couldn't it be like this? All these like lies that I wanted to tell myself. You've been quite helpful since my spouse. Seems like I'm divorcing him and we're still in the same home. It's tough. Linda, no, I've seen you before. I know I've seen you on this channel before. Have we done a one-on-one? I don't know. I've met with Linda before, so I'm not sure. But yeah, no, divorcing and like being in the same home is really, really tough. Like that is like a huge piece where it's hard to be able to navigate that. So I totally get that. Oh, Instagram. I am so sorry. I like scrolled up and then it didn't keep going. So I just thought y'all were silent. My bad. Let's see. YouTube, I'll bring it back. What do I do when he scapegoats my older son? He's in a depressed place. He speaks back to him and I let him speak to him on his feelings. How do I help him always turn off his internet? When he scapegoats my older son, I would try to be able to connect with the older son to be able to provide like an emotionally safe place. I'm still frightened of what he might do next. I left and instigated the divorce after 33 years. He's been so cruel. I think he's so angry. Will it ever end? The best you can do is getting completely like no contact. The more you can go completely no contact, like absolutely, which you probably should be able to, unless you have like some really young kids. But even then you could go like third party, but you want to go as completely no contact so that you can keep yourself safe and so you can have the capacity to heal. I don't want to go back to him, but I'm thinking about him a lot. That's the rumination. That's the trauma bond. I just want to heal and not make it about him. Sarah, one of the best things that I could encourage you to do would be to check out a Clarity Challenge. It's claritychallenge.net. We find that helps a lot of people break out the trauma bond. It specifically goes after that, if that makes sense. What was your childhood like? Did your mother neglect you, leave you to cry it out? Why do you think you're a narcissist? Mainly because I was diagnosed as a narcissist. But besides that, like the main aspect, childhood, there is some disconnection as far as like primary caregiver, like early on growing up. There's different pieces of like overbearing household, over controlling household, multiple different things like that. There wasn't like this overt piece of like abuse. There'd be more of this like trauma piece from like the emotional side. I feel bad after seeing karma finally out, but I blame myself now. Now it's hard not to blame yourself in the relationship. Just know that you're not in charge of that person's decisions. Okay.